The war is back on. We're back to bombing Iran. It is the evening of the 29th of July, and we're dropping bombs again. This one, it's going to be the one. This time, we're going to get them to bend the knee. They're going to come to the negotiating table any second now. We just got to bomb another small piece of land and some, even when we bomb bridges, we bombed some bridges a couple weeks ago. It's a war crime or whatever, but AKA war. War is a war crime, but that's a conversation for a different day. I don't know if there's still lines in the sand of war nowadays. Okay, we'll just go there anyways. Back in the day, when you lined up in a field and you pointed muskets at each other, and then you had the more important people kind of off to the side. And more important, I mean just rich kids or people from good family and rich kids. So you get a better position. You get a horse. And you could just kind of watch, and then you throw the others into the mix for a while, hopefully, and then see how it all pans out. Maybe you both just kind of give up. Maybe if you're ahead, then you sacrifice yourself, or maybe not sacrifice, you sacrifice your horse by sprinting it at the opposition. And then, you might have to put yourself on the line a little bit, or you run away, but then you live to fight another day because you're a rich kid and you have a horse and you have an officer position, blah, blah, blah. There's some honor to this type of warfare, I would say. Some pride and some rules of engagement. I think a lot of it's probably myth making, but at least historians that I've read have said that there's some rules of engagement and honor and code and respect to fighting. There was honor in it, right? You would go off and fight for your loved ones or whatever. Nowadays, you go off and fight for a public degree, which is going to get you nowhere, by the way. Because it's not like most of these kids that are going to fight for a public degree, they're probably not doctors or engineers. Very few of them are. And hopefully the military can kind of retain them under their own military militaries. That's my understanding anyways. And then the rest of you, get a public degree. Go study history. Go be a teacher. Whatever. There are some applicable degrees, but most of the degrees are worthless. But that's what you're fighting for now. A paycheck. And we wonder, why is the military going to crap? Why can't we fight any wars? Why? Here's the thing. The new round of bombing that we're just, you blow up some warehouses again. You blow up an oil depot, some infrastructure, even bombing a bridge. And then when you find out, you bomb a bridge and then a week later, you repair the bridge. It's not that big of a deal. If you're not going to act on it and we're bombing it because we're coming in and we're going to make, and there's a sliver of time. I'm not a military expert, but there's got to be a sliver of time where you bomb it, you move, so then they can't use the bridge and repair it. What's the point of bombing the bridge? Or even, it's terrible, we're taking out potentially water desalination. I mean, come on. I mean, that's Total War stuff. That's the new thing. I think since World War II, maybe even World War I. I'm not a historian, but the U.S. Civil War, Revolutionary War, the honor and code of engagement and respect of your opponent kind of existed. I don't know about the Civil War so much. It got pretty gnarly. But nowadays, you bomb a bridge, you bomb a water desalination plant. You just kind of you make the other side suffer. You make the other side have political decisions to make. You're basically trying to get them to bend the knee through the surrogate enemy, which is the population that you're trying to win hearts and minds by bombing their infrastructure and making sure they don't have water. But you're trying to bomb them into saying to their leaders, hey, let's just give up because we want water. I mean, that's where we're at in this, I guess. We haven't gone full bore yet. And I'm not saying we should. I don't think we should. I don't think we should be bombing them in the first place. That's why I'm just kind of confused on why we're bombing them. What are we doing? We're blowing up some speedboats? For what? I mean, it's argued why are we there in the first place? When we did this in April, or no, it was March, end of March. No, it was end of February. Jesus. God, we're still going to this. It was dumb in the first place. Dumb. I'm surprised we did it, but it's a conversation for another day. But we just keep doing it. And the attacks are just kind of getting less impressive. Not to be craven about it, but you blew up a couple things in some desert. Oh, you blew up a container filled with oil. Oh, I wonder how they'll recover. It just it's practically flowing out of the ground. You can't win this with total war. I don't think so anyways. Or if you can't, maybe you can. But the U.S. military, we're trying to win a war by not having casualties, which is insane. And this is modern warfare, where you don't have to take casualties, but you're going to win a war against a population of 90 million people. I mean, I know our ruling class is stupid, but can you be that stupid? Can you? Right? There's enough evidence now that you can't get them to do this. We can't pay them off, or we had been paying them off, and it was working out, fine. I'm not saying it's good, but we paid off the Venezuelans, and they gave us their leader, and they even let us come up with some story that it was some shock and awe. We used some discombobulator weapons. We pointed it at them and our weapons don't work anymore. Electricity doesn't work anymore. It's a discombobulator. I remember reading those stories. It was insane. I don't know why we just didn't keep doing that. That's why I think the only thing, if there is some sort of grand strategic plan, which with any American administration is dubious, because, I mean, there's enough evidence now that it's, even it being just a racket and we want to just unload our wad of weapons so we can have to keep on building new ones, that would make more sense than what they're trying to accomplish. Or there's a grand strategy of, we're just kind of trying to needle our way into this because we actually want a greater war. We realize that the economy in the United States is doing poorly for 90% of people. There aren't entry-level jobs anymore. The entry-level jobs that do exist, even in the trades or whatever, it's getting harder and harder to make a good living. The stock market's a fake printing money machine. I mean, come on. Those numbers have to keep on going up. I get that for stability. But come on, I mean, if you look into it at all with any critical eyes, it's like, this is fake. And now the oil markets, right? That's all fake. They're just printing money. I don't know how they do it. Hopefully, I've never taken the time to really care how they manipulate markets, but there are people I follow who are just like, who are even skeptical, probably because they had their own holdings in the market and they believed in like free markets and stuff still. Even they're like, I mean, they can even like point out to a spot on the graph and be like, that's when, what's his name? Scott Bessent. He's doing a heck of a job of keeping the market manipulated. I got to give him props. But people are catching on. And I think sooner or later, we have to either, like, there has to be a grand strategy of like, okay, they want a bigger war. That's what I'm trying to understand, if that's what it is or if it's just incompetence and they just actually thought, they still actually think that they will get a population of 90 million people to bend the knee, even though all of the evidence shows like they're kind of rallying around the flag. Everything's kind of going well for them, even when their economy's not doing great objectively, but like, look in the mirror, guys, our economy. That's, all of these indicators are showing they're not going to give up. Okay. So like bombing some speedboats, shooting some rockets at another tanker, whatever we got going, it's just not going to do it. So is it just they're actually incompetent and they want to just keep trying for the sake of trying? Or do they want a greater war? And I'm starting to get in more line with this thinking of they're actually maybe the people that are giving strategy in the United States, in the military, in the deep state, wherever these people lie, maybe they actually are just kind of pushing this along so we can get a bigger war. And then we can basically say, hey, we need oil. We don't have enough oil. We don't have enough oil to refine here in the United States. Europe, our allies, don't have enough oil to refine. Asia, Japan, South Korea, all those countries are not in good shape. It's not looking good for them sooner. So you're kind of just pushing this along, letting the Iranians and ourselves, and now like the Saudi Arabians, which is crazy, another just huge country just getting involved in this all of a sudden. Egypt's going to get involved sooner or later. They already have been getting their infrastructure starting to get blown up. It's incredible. The regional war thing's all coming together, so maybe that is the strategy and they want a greater war, but how are you going to sell it to the U.S. population? Something gnarly has to happen. And of course people are like, well, it could be a false flag. Could be another 911. Could be another Gulf of Tonkin. We need one of those to get the hearts and minds of the United States citizenry on their minds. Or you put troops on the ground in these islands that we keep on bombing or whatever. You put them on the ground and you basically let them get killed because you can't defend yourself. You can't defend the bases that are even further away. How are you going to defend these? It makes no sense. I mean, I'm no strategist, but that seems like that one, God, I can't remember his name, general in the Civil War that was just like, go run up that hill, even though it's just going to be a slaughter. Feels like those vibes, but we haven't done it yet, interestingly. I think it's kind of a bluff still, but if you were going to get people in your corner, the average American citizen, you have to send some body bags home. It sucks. But this is high stakes at this point because I don't think we can just leave. If Ukraine was going better, maybe. If we had that one, a shimmering light, that one's the best one because we got other people doing the fighting for us. And maybe the plan is to get the Saudis and the Kuwaitis and the Qataris and the Israelis to do all of this for us. They keep on getting the ones up in the Iraqis separatist movement and the Kurds up in Turkey all the way down south of there along the Iranian coast. They keep getting slaughtered. Like, we can't protect them. So we're going to land on Iran on some island and they'll just blow up the island. Am I taking crazy pills? Or, I don't know. If that is the plan, you have to accept that most of them will be killed in action immediately or wounded. And then you have to mobilize the population into a total war posture. Problem is, there's so many other problems. One, are we out of ammunition? I don't know. I'm skeptical that these think tanks have the information where they say, well, we know how much ammunition we have and we don't have that much. And then I've seen, articles leaked to the New York Times saying we're running out of interceptors. We're running out of offensive weapons, standoff weaponry. We can't fly in Iran. So is that why we're stopping? Is that why the tempo has stopped? Maybe. But then I think to myself, this country has so much classified information. Like, you can't, every document that you see nowadays is blacked out. And you're telling me it's not classified how much ammunition we have? And you might be saying, well, it's a non-governmental organization that's coming to these conclusions and they're the ones who are making the weaponry, so they can't really hide it. I don't know. I could see it both ways. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm almost, anytime the government says, it's not the government that said it, but there is congressional oversight that has come out with these numbers and people are citing it. And it's like, I could see them being I could see them having a strategy of saying, no, we're running low on weapons. Yep, totally. I don't know. It's not, I think that'd be a good strategy, honestly. Or, here's the problem. You don't know, and they're never going to tell you. We just have to see what happens. If they keep on pumping up these campaigns where, you got to take breaks. You can't just go full bore because we don't have enough. Our aircraft carriers don't even work properly. They're all just getting refit constantly. We probably don't even have enough people. And we're going to go to total war with Iran. I just don't buy it. We're not there yet. We have to have something really bad happen. And I think it's interesting that over the past couple weeks here where we have had some casualties, I'm sure it's more than what they're saying. Everyone lies about this. Why would we think they're going to tell the truth now? For last time I saw, it was 18 killed. R.I.P. And a couple, 800 wounded or something since the beginning of this. I'm sure it's triple that, if not more. But first off, that's not enough to win the hearts and minds, but also pretty sensitive about even releasing those types of numbers. So what happens when we go to total war for a couple days and we get slaughtered on those islands? What happens when it's, oh yeah, there's 3,600 wounded and it's been 3 days and you're probably lying about those numbers too? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But the thing is, even if the ammunition problem isn't actually a problem and it's just a psyop, we don't have enough people. We don't have enough assets. So, and the industrial base isn't coming back just magically. Right? Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. They've tried. Multiple administrations have tried. But it's always just like, we're going to build back better. I'm Joe Biden. And then he says it out loud, but nothing actually happens. That's all politics is nowadays. You say something out loud, you hold up a sign, you chant, and you say, I want this to happen, and then you just expect it, poof, it happens. But it's not how the world works. You have to organize, you have to go after people's pocketbooks. If you said, hey, I want to make sure we have enough penicillin for the army, for God's sake, or even just equipment. I'm sure most of our equipment is probably made overseas. The uniforms, I wouldn't be shocked if they were made in freaking like Bangladesh. But you're going to bring them home? Okay, great. Let's reindustrialize. Let's start making penicillin that the army uses or whatever. Anything. I know they do make some things in the United States, but most of it I think is outsourced. Yeah, let's start doing it. Let's start industrializing in the United States. Great. Okay. Let's set up a factory there. Yeah? Well, I'm a businessman. I'm currently making the penicillin, and I have it shipped from 8 different places. The drug itself is made in India. The container that I put it in is made in Pakistan. And the packaging I do in Bangladesh. And it's quite a nice little thing I got going. I don't have to pay them anything. And how much do I have to pay my people to do it here? It's not profitable. It's not profitable. And unless the U.S. government's going to take on the task of making their own things, good luck. That's just our system. So all of this is just magical thinking that it's just going to happen out of nowhere. This is why we can't go to war. But if we just leave now with our tail between our legs and we sign an agreement and we actually leave, problems occur. One, it looks bad, and other countries are going to say to themselves, that wasn't that hard. You just have to shoot back a little bit, say no. Sure, you got to take some casualties. You got to take 160 schoolgirls getting killed. Terrible things. Pieces of your infrastructure are going to get destroyed. There will be internal civil war, murmurs. It's not great. But if you're another country on the periphery of empire, a lot of African countries, Europe's still under our control. I could see like Central Asian countries maybe looking more toward an orientation towards China and Russia. But the point is, you start thinking to yourself, man, I could take these guys. The paper tiger thing that Mao said however many years ago, he might have been right. That's one problem. Two, the oil problem and the amount of effort and the corruption and the money making and just the system that we got, the petrodollar thing that we got going on over there. You think we're just going to give that up? So I don't know. And that's the thing. It's just like, why do we keep pushing? If that was true, if it was too big to give up, you should have just signed the agreement. You made a bad play. You still got Saudi, you still got Oman, you still got all of these countries, you still got Iran surrounded. You got to sign a bad agreement. Okay. That would have made coherent sense. Kind of. It still would have sucked. But there's obviously people in the administration, deep state, the actual decision makers that are like, no, I want a bigger war. It's the only thing that kind of makes sense, where they think to themselves, if we destroy the region, if we make an energy crisis that is going to be felt in the United States, but it's going to be felt even worse in our vassal states, in Europe and in Asia and elsewhere, the Middle East as well, Saudi, Kuwait, Oman, the people that are actually taking fire, or Israel. Maybe if we create conditions that are so poor, they'll do the fighting for us. Maybe the Europeans will send units with it, or maybe we'll have to fight with them, right, under the NATO flag. Maybe I'm starting to wonder if that's actually not the strategy. And that would be the strategy if you said to yourself, wow, this economy we got going in the United States, the AI thing, that was maybe, I think that everyone knew that was a joke. Come on. I mean, there's gullible people that get into high ranks of power, but that was just a grift. Obviously, like, there had to be people that actually know what's going on. Just like, yeah, it's not going to do what they say that it's going to do. And it's not profitable. Like, what's the product? What's the product? Other than like robotics, I get that's a product. And that replaces labor, and that can be invested in and make more profit. But ChatGPT? I get that it can take away some entry-level positions in like customer service and stuff, but like, that's not going to turn the economy around. That's just going to make things worse, because now come on, like, you got college kids that can't even find that job, that crappy job. Every city is has a corner of it where you can't go to because there's just fentanyl zombies everywhere. I mean, things aren't looking good inside, which is a problem. And how do you paper over a problem? Well, you go to war. That makes sense to me. That's happened before throughout history. So it's kind of the only thing that really makes sense to me. But at the same time, it's just even, okay, Germany, 1930s, right? You had this crazy guy coming to power. Fascism's at the doorstep, blah, blah, blah. But they have an industrial base. Things are happening. There's like, hey, we're making a bunch of bombs and stuff. We're making a bunch of artillery. We're making a bunch of ammunition. We're signing people up. Okay, at least it was bad, but like, it was better than this. Because this is just like gaslighting. Like, hey, we're maybe going to go to war. It's like, well, you're going to send us to the front with no equipment? Is that the plan? So I keep on reading stuff like, hey, we're out of offensive weapons, so that you're just not going to we have all this great military. We spend $1.5 trillion a year now at this point. But, even a couple years ago, it was like $800 billion annually. We're spending all this money and you can't even equip an army? I mean, come on. That's just, we deserve to fail at that point. Leaving the morals out of it, leaving the Iranians' legitimate right to self-defense and all that. But if you're an American, like, you're a true blood American nationalist, and you look at this and you're like, gas is going up. We got to show them who's boss. We got to show the world. We got to quash this revolution, kind of, right? Like, we want them under our heel, because them under our heel is good for U.S. petrodollar dominance and whatever. But, I mean, come on. Like, you're going to keep on doing it by what? Threatening them? It's just not going to work. I just get worried that I mean, I'm 31 at the time of this, so I'm not really worried about myself getting drafted. I mean, it would take a couple of years. It would take tens of thousands of casualties to get to the point where they're calling up 31-year-olds. Maybe that is what the World War is going to be. There's news of that draft simulation exercise computer thing, and then it goes into effect in December. That's not good. But I really don't think, even if that's the plan, I don't think we're competent enough to pull off that plan. That's the scary part. That's the thing where it's just like, okay, they draft you, but you're not equipped. You're just cannon fodder. Is that the plan? Because, I mean, you have to equip an army, you have to feed it, do we have planes and do we have ships to get us over there? No. And they don't just come out of magic. So the economy is doing so poorly and things are going so poorly that they have to do something. There has to be a lurch of just trying to just redeem this rotten, corrupt system that we got going. Or there maybe won't be a lurch and we're just going to turn into the third world. And this is just a distraction to get us there. I guess that's better. I'd prefer that than go dying in some godforsaken desert in the Persian Gulf or some trench in eastern Poland. That's all that would happen. Just get killed by some drone? Is that, yeah, I mean, we're probably replacing drones, or not replacing, we are replacing, making drones. They're getting blown up in Ukraine, and Lindsey Graham might have died in a factory. Might have. That's an odd one. I think we'll revisit that one some other day. I'm surprised. Do I think he was killed in that? When I first heard it, I was like, holy crap, that's what happened. But then they released the 911 footage or whatever, the audio. And there's probably eyewitnesses and stuff. And then that one guy, one of the multipolar guys, Larry Johnson, he came out and was just like, the timing doesn't match up. Throwing out potentially misinformation. You can never tell with that guy. I don't know. Then they did the closed casket. I thought that was interesting. Like, you just never know. Maybe he died of a heart attack. It's another one of those instances in the war. It reminds me of the Netanyahu. There were people who thought Benjamin Netanyahu died in like March when Iran was hitting him with some heavy stuff. And I don't know if he was actually, there's images of him getting like pulled out of something. And it's just like, is this AI? And then the coffee video where he's just in some coffee shop and people are like, where is this guy? He hasn't been coming out. He hasn't been at the meetings. I think he was actually maybe in Germany and he has cancer. So that's another element to this. So maybe he's just getting cancer treatment. Maybe he was just running away because he was actually concerned about his life. Or maybe he was dead. Turns out he's alive. But they released these strange videos where he's getting coffee in this coffee shop in like East Israel to just kind of like, no, everything's fine. We're shooting down all the weapons. We're shooting down all the drones and the missiles. It was fog of war stuff. But what? It just reminds me of that. But then it's just like, okay, it ended up just being like a psyop for the sake of being a psyop, or it was a psyop to show that he's actually still in the country when he was getting like cancer treatment. I don't know. Fascinating stuff. There were people who fell for it. And I kind of did for like a day or two. I was just like, holy crap, this is AI. The coffee's not moving. He like picks it up and the coffee doesn't move. That's where we're at. Everyone's just a neurotic head case because nothing is the truth anymore and everything's online and nothing matters.